What's going on, people? It's yours truly, live from Brooklyn. One more again, just coming off of another night of work. Just trying to wind down for the evening, and do what I normally do. People have been asking me to go on the live stream, so, you know, it's time for me to jump back on the live stream, say some things, share some thoughts with people, see if anybody comes in. If you don't, it's all good. If you catch it in the replay, that's all good too. Thanks for the thumbs up. Thanks for stopping by. But in this live stream, I just wanted to talk about something that, many people face, especially in this politically correct society. And it's about offense. People are afraid to offend, you know, be it in their content. What's going on, Matthew Drink? Thanks for joining the live stream. People are afraid to offend, in their content or otherwise. Sometimes things are so politically correct, you know, folks are just afraid to speak, speak their mind, talk their talk, and just give their opinion about whatever it is that they do. You know, people are afraid of just, hey, if I move left, if I move right, maybe I'm going to offend somebody, or maybe, people won't like, what I have to say. And what I have to say about that is that, there's times when, people need to be offensive, you know, for the sake of spreading, what it is, that's true, or what it is that's right, or just expressing themselves, for whatever it is. I mean, I'm not saying be offensive just, for offensive sake, but, there comes a time when, you have to just speak your piece. You have to be who you are and whatnot. Sometimes people are just afraid. Hey, what's up, Brooklyn Brave? Brooklyn Babe. Thanks for joining my live stream. Thank you, Matthew Drake. I appreciate that. But what I'm just talking about is how sometimes people just are afraid to offend. We live in a politically correct society that if you have an opinion on something, or or whatever it is that you're trying to express, you know, sometimes people just want to, you know. Oh, okay, you're talking to Matthew. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, nah, but I'm just saying that I don't know. I worry about it sometimes myself too. Just do you offend anybody, or are you saying something that people don't agree with, and are you like being insensitive or negative and whatnot. You know, it gets to a point where you really can't worry about it. Because I can't compromise or sacrifice who I am, as a person, to just worry about whether or not I'm being offensive to somebody. Now, of course, I don't want to offend folks just for offense sake, but at the same time, I got to be me. I got to do what I do. I got to be myself. I encourage you to be you, to be yourself, to express yourself, to put your stuff out there, to say your piece, to, be who it is that you are. But sometimes people are so politically correct and so afraid of, if they have an opinion on something, that, folks are going to attack them. And, what I've learned over time is that no matter who you are, what you do, there's somebody that's going to be offended by something that you do. Maybe it's the color of shirt you wear. Maybe, it's the way you cut your hair, or the skin color you have, or the food you eat, or the way you walk, or the car you drive. People are going to be defended. People are going to be offended by something. Matthew Drake says, on a personal level, I love to change the world. Difference. Yeah, um, you know, yeah, Matthew, I could definitely relate to that. You wanting to change the world and whatnot. But my thing is that you can only, I believe you can only, deal with what you have in front of you. You can influence people and try to be positive and try to, put yourself out in a certain way. But everybody has a different point of view, and everybody's not going to agree, on said point of view. I mean, you can even be offended by, somebody else's point of view, but sometimes people take it too far, with the trolling or the bullying, or just the negative approach to how you want to deal with people. We can all disagree. We can all have our differences and whatnot. But we don't have to be to the point where we're just scared to express ourselves, And a lot of times people in society, at least I believe, are scared to express themselves because they're worried about a certain political correctness. They're worried about a backlash. They're worried about a bullying. They're worried about a trolling. They're worried about, a negative, consequences or repercussions just because they have an opinion on something. And not everybody has to agree. Matthew Drake says, yeah, that's why I let them see me for me. I don't worry about saying this or that. Yeah, definitely. You want to make sure that you are yourself and that you're not worried about, how you're looking at people seeing you. But the reality is not everybody is always that strong, to take on, people's different opinions or the bullying or the trolling and whatnot. Everybody's not as strong to just take it as it is or have a thick skin. And people worry about stuff like that. People put themselves in situations or allow themselves to be in situations where they're just in fear to be who they are, to express themselves as they want to. Yeah, be yourself, be you, be true, be you. Of course, Matthew, but sometimes it's easier said than done because some people haven't built up the strength to be them. Some people haven't built up the strength to deal with the negativity that may come. Some people haven't dealt with, how do you overcome somebody being offended by something that, you definitely didn't mean, in any negative way, especially if you wasn't coming with any malicious intent. It could be, a joke you told, it could be, a way you dress, it could be an opinion you expressed on something that may be different from the norm. It could be anything, But I say, anybody out there, whether you right or wrong, be it the chips falling where they may, I say don't be afraid of expressing and saying your piece, especially if you're not out there trying to maliciously hurt anybody or tear anybody down. Everything is not always correct. Everything is not always right, that we say. I know myself, I say things that are wrong. I say things that, just out there. But I'm not doing it to try to offend anybody. And sometimes, things are going to be offensive because it's just different. If I'm trying to seek the truth in a situation and people are trying to be corrupt about it or, just trying to be skullduggery, then, they're going to be offended. It's going to be an offense because, people have differences of opinion or people have different, principles that they live by. Hey, Melanie, I'm just talking about people being afraid to offend folks. And what I mean by being afraid to offend is that they have different opinions. They have different points of views. It's like if I have a different point of view from you, you may get offended because you don't agree with it and you feel like I should just go along with whatever you say. And we live in a world of different and diverse views, different and diverse is the same thing, of diverse views, and we should be able to express ourselves and say what it is we say or live how it is we live without folks, being ready to tear us down or tear us apart. But unfortunately, we live in the world that we live in. Yeah. Are you thinking about this? Yeah. Well, Melanie, if you want to collab, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. After he says, Ray Dress is going to be someone in a way that don't want to see the light and change. Nah, definitely. It's like Melanie said, it's the world we live in. Sometimes people, they just choose to be in the dark with it. Yas Poet says, I heard it's more offensive not to call crap nonsense when you should point it out. Yeah, no, definitely. You definitely have that. But you just have people out there who are afraid to speak their mind, or afraid to say their point. Like I said, we're not all right. We don't all have it together. And sometimes, even if I have the best intent, I'm not always right. But I do myself a disservice by not saying, what it is that I have to say just because I'm afraid. There's a difference between not speaking up or saying what you say or expressing yourself because, you're actually wrong or you're actually, hurting somebody with, your point of view or your opinion. It's another thing to just not speak up because you're afraid and you're fearful that what you say may offend somebody when the only thing that's really offensive is the fact that you have different principles. You live by a different set of rules than they did. And sometimes just because it's different doesn't mean that either side of the argument or the situation is right or wrong. It just means sometimes it's different. Sometimes it could be matters about sexuality, religion, economic status, politics. It could just be two opposing sides to each other, but people are afraid to voice their opinion and say whatever it is that they need to say because you're afraid of offending the other person. But sometimes in the offense, the truth gets out. And when the truth gets out, you're able to come to some kind of consensus. You're able to come to some kind of agreement. You're able to see each other eye to eye. A lot of times I would like to know where you stand. It's like the old timer said, I like to know where we stand on the issue so we both may sit. If you sit on one side and I sit on the other side, then that's what it is. But first know where we stand. I think when people are afraid to express themselves and they're afraid to offend people, especially when they're coming from a place of peace, a place of truth or their truth, then we do each other a disservice because you're not getting the truth out there. I don't want you to pretend with me. I don't want you to pretend to be, a part of what I'm about. I don't want you to pretend to care about the things that I care about. If you don't agree with me, hey, don't agree with me. That's fine. But the thing is, don't be afraid to express your point of view because you're afraid of offending me. Just come from a place of truth, of love, of peace. And even if you don't come from a place of truth, love, peace, speak your peace. I can handle it. I bet our forefathers are smacking their heads wondering what became of America. Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of people still wondering what has become of America. We lack civility, a lot of civility, especially in New York. I don't know if anybody heard about the 18-year-old kid that stabbed up the 15-year-old in the high school, I think it was. You talk about a lack of civility, or you talk about where has America gone. Please, now you have to have the metal detectors in schools because it's too violent. Yeah, it's like that. So, where has America gone? Where has the society gone? People don't speak up because they're afraid speaking up or saying your piece is going to offend somebody, or telling people, that, our communities are struggling or people are suffering. That's offensive to people, Yeah, you saw that too, Matthew? Yeah, and you heard about that, Melanie? Yeah, well, that's what it is. We live in a society where people are afraid to say, hey, some things are wrong, some things need to be changed, that it shouldn't go down this way. And instead of us dealing with each other as a civil society, or, moving towards a proper form of justice, or some sense of morality, we go to that where people feel like it's okay to hurt each other. I'm sick as a dog, but I can listen to dialogue. Yeah, thanks, Tosh Tom. I appreciate it. Well, all I'm really just talking about, Tosh Tom, is basically how people are afraid to offend each other, in society, by, just speaking their point of view. Sometimes you're not really trying to be offensive or troll anybody. Sometimes you're just saying, look, I stand on the opposite side of the issue from where you stand. And sometimes people are just afraid to speak up because, there's the consequences and repercussions, and people, feel, their ways. And sometimes people are willing to, hurt each other because they disagree with the point of view that you may come from. So people capitulate. Matthew Drake says, I didn't want to get into it with AJ, but yeah. Nah, definitely. Well, that's a conversation, I guess, that you and him going to have to work out. Who knows, maybe I can help you mediate that situation, Matthew. But folks shouldn't be afraid to, speak their piece and say what's on their mind, without feeling like they, have to hurt each other. There's a situation where, don't be afraid to offend anybody. If you're coming from a place of peace, if you're coming from a place of truth, even if it's just your truth, and you're just really trying to just express and have a civil dialogue or discourse with somebody, don't be afraid to speak your piece. I think in society too many people are, because, there's fear of backlash. So I said, I'm not afraid to speak my piece. I'm just cautious because sometimes don't comprehend a peaceful debate. Yeah, true. That is also a valid point. You do have people out there who are not about peace, who are about war, who are just about violence. the moment that you say something opposite of them, it could be in a religious context or a political setting, they're ready to kill you. Especially places in the Middle East, or places far east. Matthew Drake said, yeah, okay. Yeah. Nah. Yeah, we don't have to get into religion on YouTube, but I'm not afraid to get into YouTube and get into religion on YouTube. Some conversations just need to be had, and I think sometimes people they shy away from these conversations because they're afraid, of offending other people or, not really, having people on their sides. Listen, if I offend some folks, and you may not like what I have to say on particular issues, speak your piece. Let's have a civil dialogue. We're adults. I don't have to hate you if you disagree with me. If I believe in God and you don't believe in God, I don't have to hate you. You can still come to my live stream. I can come to your live streams. Yeah, stand up for what you believe in, even if you stand alone. I agree with you, Melanie. But here's the problem with that. A lot of people are not really even willing to stand for what they say they believe in. You have so many people who say they believe in things, in the moment that they're pushed, the moment that they're pressed, you know, they're not ready. I sound like I tell you, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, Tosh Tom. I appreciate that. You know, I have some good people around me that try to help me with that, and I can't take the credit for that. But the whole thing is just like, yeah, easier said than done. Yeah, Melanie, it's easier said than done, learning and practicing. But I also agree with Tosh Tom, what she was saying. You have to be cautious of who you choose to speak around, of what you're saying and who you're saying it around, because not everybody is open-minded. Not everybody is for civil discourse. Not everybody is open to, an adult conversation. Sadly, in this world, not sometimes people get vicious and violent, and things can become deadly because people just stand on a different side of an issue. And it's unfortunate, but we live in a society where people are ignorant, where people, are offended easily, by the smallest of things. It could be the clothes you wear. It could be the religion you're in. It could be the place you live. It could be the people you connected to. It could be anything, you know. It could be how you live stream on YouTube. It could be the subject matter that you choose to speak about. It could be, you know, the charities that you're a part of. It could be anything. Sometimes people just find a reason to be offended by things. And I say don't let that deter you from being who you are, because at the end of the day, why stop being yourself because somebody else is going to get offended, especially if you're coming from a good place, especially if you're coming from a spot of love, if you're coming from a place of truth, of peace. It may not always be politically correct. It may not always be PG-13. It may not always be suitable for, audiences under the age of 13. But if you're coming from a real place where you're not trying to hurt anybody, can't always worry about being offensive to people, because you got people out there who are ultra conservative or ultra liberal, and they're just offended by everything, and there's no reasoning with them. There's no sitting down to debate and talk and strategize or formulate some way of actually getting along with some folks. Some folks just want to be divisive. Some folks just want to be far left, far right, not left, just chaotic. And for those folks, you have your place. But to those people that are really actually out there speaking truth, that are really out there, trying to, make the world a better place, that are really out there just trying to, have the tough conversations, or, get in the middle of things and make things better. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be offensive, because just your existence in a situation sometimes is going to be offensive. Just you trying to stand up for anything. I'll say to you, anybody, you watching here on this live stream or watching after the live stream, if you're about anything decent, if you're about anything just, if you're about anything purposeful, anything that's trying to help people, then folks are already offended by you. Drone Wolf Media. Yeah, and what's up, Drone Wolf Media? I'm a little Switzerland, I'm a little state of neutral. Yeah, you can be neutral. You can be neutral, Matthew. But it comes to a point, no matter how neutral you try to be on a lot of different things, there's a time when it comes to making a choice about where you stand, especially when it comes to life, especially when it comes to things and matters of life and death, war and peace. There's situations where you either choose or the situation will choose for you. It's like, let's say if you've seen somebody in the street, old lady about to get mugged, right? Walking down any crowded, not crowded street, but any, you know, unlit street or not well lit street, dimly lit street, old lady walking down, and you see this person about to get robbed, and you know you can help to stop it. What do you do? Do you let that lady get robbed and act like you didn't see anything? Do you step in? Do you call the cops? You only have a split second. What do you do? I say that to say this, that if you want to choose the lesser or the greater, it's up to you, right? It's your choice. But the choice that you make in that particular situation or in life about whether you take the darkness or the light, it's up to you, right? But the choice you make says something about who you are. We can say neutrality. We can say, I don't have to be involved. And there's times when we don't, when we shouldn't be involved. But there's times when we have to. There's times when, being silent is a betrayal. Martin Luther King spoke about that, you know. So, yeah, you can be neutral, but for how long, I have no witness something small and call security on more. Well, calling security is a start. Sometimes that's what it takes. I'm glad you did call security for that lady. What's going on, Shirley Smith? What's going on? I'm just talking about people being offended, how easily folks can get offended. In society, it just happens. People can get offended by you having a protest. You could protest against police brutality, and people are offended. People, protest how you may protest against somebody who's doing wrongdoing. People stand on the different sides of various issues, different sides of it, and that's fine. Whether it be racial issues, gender inequality, politics, whatever. But the thing is for us to try to be as civil as we can, and not everybody wants to be civil. And we could choose, our lesser selves. We could choose our greater selves. And it's our choice. But the choice determines who we are at any given time, So hopefully this made any sense. I appreciate those folks who coming by. Touchdown said it seems like racial tensions since this election has gotten worse. Yeah. I mean, probably so. But that's because there's probably not enough people willing to have civil conversations and come together like human beings. I asked the dean of admissions to really disregard my application. That's interesting. I don't know why you did that. I don't know why you did that, Matthew, but I don't know if that was for me or somebody else. Yeah, racial tensions are something in this country, that, not going away anywhere. Yeah, civil conversation. I think there's a lot of people that don't want to just really sit down and understand each other. They want more of the same. They don't want change. Oh, okay, that's why you would say that. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that want more of the same and don't want change, because some people, profit from society being divided and people being easily offended and ready to war and ready to hate and kill each other up, just out of ignorance sake. Okay, I understand you, Matthew Drake. I get that. I definitely get that. It's not always good being one-sided. The reality is that we stand on different sides of various issues in life and society. And if we're afraid to offend each other, if we're afraid to speak our piece, then things stay the same, because everybody goes off to their little corners, their segregated parts of society, Nobody really wants to come together unless it's a situation where we want to be entertained, or we have to work, or if there's a natural disaster or something like that. Yeah, in the end we can stand united. But should it be a situation where we only stand united in time of entertainment, or okay, enjoy your dinner, Shirley, or a natural disaster, you know? Can we stand together? Can we stand united, under times of peace, under times of regularity, or times, of civility, you know? Does it have to be a situation like that? Take care, Shirley. But like I said, I'm about to wrap this up myself. The thing is, what I'm saying to you, just to make the final point, is that don't be afraid to speak your piece and to voice your opinion on things that matter to you, especially if you're coming from a real place, a place of love, a place of peace. Sometimes something snaps back in reality and a hurricane. Yeah, true. There's a hurricane, but sometimes with that hurricane, we have the hurricane, and right after the hurricane is back to the divisive politics, you know, which is crazy. Think about it. You had Hurricane Harvey and Irma and Jose and all these other different things, but then you turn around right after that, the biggest story out there is the president fighting with NFL players and NBA players, and you're like, serious? You got people dying and hurt and going through it, and in Puerto Rico and Texas and Florida, and you're worried about a protest in the NFL? Come on. Like, really? That's what we're talking about? You got people suffering and going through things, and you're worried about, something that is, while important, is not the most important thing in this world, in this country, but that shows us as a humanity sometimes, or as a society, how far we still have to come, and how many things that we still need to try to come together as a civil society, if we still can. And that's up to us, and that's not something you want to pass on to the next generation. You think about how the youth see us and how they view the way that we are with each other. You don't want to pass on bad habits or generational curses to the youth. On a short story, I'm a volunteer sports writer, one on mixed team. The good set sat down near that. Yeah. Yeah, true. It is crazy, Tosh time, how the president is more concerned with the NFL than white supremacists, but that says, what it says about him in this situation. Hey, what's going on, Vinny G? Thank you for coming into the live stream. I appreciate it. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff in this world that people need to, gain a thick skin on and not be so quick. Hey, Turtle Slayer, thanks for coming into the live stream. There's a lot of things in this society people need to learn not to have a thick skin about, and not to be so sensitive and get politically correct about it, because the political correctness and the sensitivity that comes, it stifles the ability to change and the ability for us to grow as a society. It doesn't help anything when you're afraid to express yourself because you're worried about how another person is going to respond on the other side. But it happens. And then people are afraid. So I say, live not in a sense of fear where you can't express yourself and be who you are because you're afraid of what somebody else is going to think. Be it religiously, be it politically, be it socioeconomically, be it science-wise. It shouldn't be a situation where you're afraid to be yourself because you're afraid that you're going to offend somebody. Of course, we could have a difference of opinion. Of course, we could have, different points of views on a matter or subject, but it shouldn't be the reason why you're afraid to speak your piece and say something because you're worried about whether or not I'm going to hurt you, and it shouldn't be that. But on that note, I must go. Out of respect. Hey, what's up, Backwoods Rays? I appreciate it. I got a sub to you. I say sub to all those folks in this live stream. Tosh Tom, Brooklyn Babe. Y'all check each other out. Melanie, Vinny G, check each other out right quick. I'll give you a couple of seconds to do that. And like I said, I'm definitely appreciative of the folks that came into this live stream. I'm going to wrap this up in a few seconds, or at least a minute or so, just to respect people's time. Tosh time, how can a man that was born with a silver spoon in his mouth like to care about people with a struggle? Well, I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, live from the surgery. Yeah, that monthly certificate. Oh, all the best to you, Vinny G. All the best to you. Um, Hey, buddy, Cav7 sent me over here, told him to come check it out for a while. Okay, thanks, Clyde. I appreciate that on the soapbox. Is Cav7, is he live now? I respect someone who has a different opinion. Yeah, no, we shouldn't worry that other people have different opinions, but the thing about it is that some people take it and they use it as an excuse to, disrespect, and not uphold human life, to tear each other down. And it shouldn't. Yeah, he's live. I came from him. So I'm actually going to go to Cab 7. I've been told that Cab 7 is live. So now, thank you, folks. Cab 7 is live, but your stream title intrigued me. Well, I have a lot of stream titles that's going to intrigue some folks, Cloud on the Soapbox. But just to wrap it up and recap, what I was talking about in this live stream, later Tosh time, what I was talking about in this live stream, Clyde, is that how people are afraid to offend each other because they have different points of view, because they have different sides of an issue that they stand on. And sometimes people are very divisive, very hateful, very negative, very vengeful, very ignorant towards each other. And I say to people out there, don't be afraid to speak your piece and express yourself just because people stand on a different side of an issue than you. And don't be afraid to offend folks because they're easily offended by, what it is that you stand for. Of course, be careful who you say it around, as Tosh Thomas said. Vinny G says, I don't understand being offended. I never get that. I guess it comes from being unfiltered. Yes, Grim Reaper. Yo, what's going on, mister? I'm going over to Cab 7. I'm sorry, folks. That's why I joined, because I'm not easy to offend. But some folks are, unfortunately, some people are easy to offend. And it's a shame that we live in a society. Drive Shaft Drew, thank you. It's a shame that we live in that type of society where people are easily offended by things and not able to understand. But I think it's important for us to live in a civil society, or at least try to be as civil and as peaceable with each other as possible. On that note, let me get out of here so I can get to Cab 7. Fancy seeing all you folks in here. I'm actually about to go over to Cab 7's right now, his stream. I'm going to join his stream. Take care, folks.